Did you know that the universe is full of mind-blowing facts that most people never learn? Let me share some incredible facts that will blow your mind. Water can boil and freeze at the same time. It is called the triple point, the exact temperature and pressure where the three phases, solid, liquid, and gas of a substance coexist in perfect balance. Octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood. 2 hearts pump blood through the gills and 1 pumps it to the rest of the body. Their blood is blue because it's based on copper, hemocyanin, not iron like ours. Bananas are radioactive. Bananas contain potassium-40, a naturally radioactive isotope. But do not worry, you will need to eat about 10 million bananas at once for it to be dangerous. Tardigrades, water bears, can survive in space. These microscopic animals can survive vacuum, radiation, freezing and boiling. They were literally shot into space and came back alive. Your bones are constantly being destroyed and rebuilt. Your skeleton is not permanent. You get a brand new skeleton about every 10 years thanks to bone remodeling. There's a fungus that turns ants into zombies. Ophiocordyceps infects an ant's brain, controls its behavior, and forces it to climb up high before the fungus bursts out of its body to spread spores. Real-life zombie apocalypse for ants. Trees can talk to each other. Through underground networks of fungi called mycorrhizal networks, trees share nutrients and even warnings about insects or disease. It's sometimes called the wood wide web. There's a jellyfish that might live forever. Turritopsis dohrnii can revert its cells back to an earlier stage of life, effectively avoiding death unless it's eaten or killed. Immortal jellyfish, yep. The deepest part of the ocean could crush you like a soda can. In the Mariana Trench, the pressure is about 1,000 times the standard atmospheric pressure. That's like 8 tons of force per square inch. Instant squish for anything unprotected. You shed about 40 pounds of skin cells in your lifetime. Your skin completely renews itself about every 27 days, and the old cells become dust. A big portion of household dust is actually dead human skin. There's a river beneath the Amazon River. It's called the Hamza River, a massive underground flow that mirrors the Amazon above but moves much slower, deep under the ground. There's a creature that doesn't age. The hydra, a tiny freshwater animal, shows no signs of aging. Theoretically, it could live forever, unless disease or injury kills it. Your heartbeat slows down in space. Astronauts experience a decrease in heart rate due to the lack of gravity, which affects blood flow. Sound can create light. This phenomenon, called sonoluminescence, occurs when sound waves create tiny bubbles that emit brief flashes of light. Sloths can hold their breath longer than dolphins. Sloths can slow their heart rate so much that they can hold their breath for up to 40 minutes underwater, compared to dolphins, who usually manage about 10 minutes. Volcanoes can create their own lightning. When a volcano erupts, the ash, dust, and gas particles can rub together and create static electricity, resulting in volcanic lightning storms that look absolutely apocalyptic. There's a shark that's older than Shakespeare. The Greenland shark can live for 400 plus years. Scientists found one that was born around 1620, before Galileo even invented the telescope. There's a material that can heal itself. Self-healing concrete contains bacteria that activate when cracks form, filling them with limestone. There are more viruses on Earth than stars in the universe. Estimated 10 tridecillion viruses exist. If you lined them up, they'd stretch beyond the edge of the observable universe many times over. Don't worry, most viruses aren't harmful to humans. The largest living thing on Earth is a fungus. The Armillaria ostoyi fungus in Oregon spans over 3.5 miles and is believed to be around 2,500 years old. It's basically a forest-sized single organism, hidden underground. Rain smells because of bacteria. That fresh rain smell is caused by a compound called geosmin, released by soil bacteria when rain hits the ground. So when you smell rain, you're actually smelling microbial life. Space isn't expanding into anything. Space itself is expanding everywhere at once. There's no center to the Big Bang. It happened everywhere at the same time. Some frogs can survive being completely dehydrated. The desert rain frog can lose almost all its body water and go into a suspended animation state, basically a dried-up frog raisin, then rehydrate and come back to life when it rains. Jellyfish existed before dinosaurs and haven't changed much. Some jellyfish species have been floating around for over 500 million years, long before dinosaurs, mammals, or even trees existed. Your brain generates enough electricity to power a light bulb. At any moment, your brain generates about 12 to 25 watts of electricity, enough to power a small light bulb. The human nose can detect about 1 trillion different scents. For a long time, scientists thought we could smell about 10,000 scents. But newer studies show it's closer to 1 trillion. Your nose is insanely powerful. Some squid and octopuses can edit their own genetic code. They can rewrite their RNA on the fly to adapt to temperature changes and environmental conditions, something humans definitely can't do. Time moves faster at the top of a mountain than at sea level. Because of weaker gravity higher up, time ticks faster by nanoseconds at the top of Everest than it does at the beach. Tiny but measurable. Some lakes can literally kill you without warning. In places like Lake Nyos in Cameroon, trapped carbon dioxide gas can suddenly burst out, asphyxiating animals and humans nearby. It happened in 1986, killing over 1,700 people without warning. Ballooning spiders launch themselves into the air by releasing silk threads and catching electric fields in the atmosphere, floating miles above the ground. Without any wind. Fire can burn in space, but it looks totally different. In microgravity, flames become perfect blue spheres instead of the usual teardrop shapes. Because hot air doesn't rise, it's called cool flames. Trees can remember experiences. Trees exposed to drought can remember and adapt better to future droughts using chemical memory stored in their cells. The hottest planet isn't the closest one to the Sun. Venus is hotter than Mercury, even though Mercury is closer, because Venus's thick atmosphere traps heat through a runaway greenhouse effect. There are raining animals events recorded in history. It's real. Sometimes waterspouts, mini tornadoes over water, suck up fish, frogs, or small animals, and later it rains them down over land. Documented cases of fish rain, frog rain, even spider rain exist. Scientists created a quantum time crystal. In 2021, scientists created a state of matter that oscillates without using energy, essentially a perpetual motion structure at the quantum level, defying classical physics rules. Human bones are stronger than concrete. By weight, human bone is about 5 times stronger than concrete. It's an incredibly tough, natural composite material. When you look at stars, you're seeing the past. Light from nearby stars takes years to reach Earth. If a star exploded today, you might still see its light for decades after it's gone. Most of Earth's oxygen comes from the ocean, not trees. Tiny ocean organisms called phytoplankton produce 50–80% of the oxygen we breathe. Protecting oceans is protecting life itself. Sound can physically move objects, even in mid-air. Using acoustic levitation, scientists have used sound waves to float droplets and small objects in the air without touching them. The human brain has more connections than there are stars in the galaxy. Around 100 billion neurons, each with thousands of connections, meaning trillions of synapses inside your skull. Most of the atoms in your body are hydrogen, the oldest thing in the universe. The hydrogen in you formed about 13.8 billion years ago, moments after the Big Bang. You are ancient stardust walking around. Fulgurites, lightning rocks. When lightning strikes sand or dirt, it can instantly melt it, forming weird glass tubes and sculptures called fulgurites. literal, fossilized lightning. Snakes can survive months without food by digesting their own organs. Some snakes shrink their internal organs when food is scarce, entering extreme survival mode until prey returns. Deep inside your bones are crystals. Your bones are partly made of hydroxyapatite, tiny natural crystals of calcium and phosphate that give bones their strength. Parasites can control their host's behavior. The lancet liver fluke controls ants, forcing them to climb grass blades at night. So grazing animals will eat them, completing the parasite's life cycle. Mind control in real life. Planarian flatworms. True regeneration. Cut a flatworm into multiple pieces and each piece can regrow into a whole new worm. Head? Tail? Doesn't matter, they regrow missing parts. Your brain processes pain, but your brain itself can't feel pain. That's why surgeons can operate on the brain while you're awake. The brain has no pain receptors. Lightning is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. A lightning bolt can reach 30,000 Kelvin, while the surface of the sun is only about 5,800 Kelvin. Teleportation. Between chips in a lab. In 2020, researchers teleported quantum information between 2 computer chips. Actual device-to-device quantum teleportation inside a lab without moving matter. Your ears and nose never stop growing. Cartilage keeps growing even as you age. That's why older people often have bigger noses and ears. Virtual particles pop in and out of existence constantly. Empty space isn't really empty. Quantum foam is full of virtual particles that appear, exist for a tiny fraction of a second, and disappear again. Space itself is seething with energy. What is the nature of time itself? We experience time as linear, but physics allows for non-linearity, and some equations are time symmetric. Is time real or just a mental illusion? Physicists don't agree. You're quantum too. At the particle level, your atoms follow quantum rules. You are made entirely of things that can tunnel, entangle, superpose, and vibrate through reality. You're basically a walking quantum miracle. Some viruses have icosahedral, perfect 20-sided shapes. Viruses like the adenovirus are structured in stunning geometric perfection, looking like tiny 20-sided dice under a microscope. Some fish can change their gender. Clownfish, among others, can switch sexes depending on social structure. If the dominant female dies, a male becomes female to replace her. Hydrogen makes up about 75% of the universe's mass. It's the most abundant element, making up stars, gas clouds, and much of everything around us. The speed of light isn't constant in all materials. Light slows dramatically in materials like glass or water. In a special lab setup, scientists slowed light to 17 meters per second, or about walking speed. You leave behind a cloud of DNA everywhere you go. Scientists can now detect your unique genetic signature just from the microscopic bits you shed into the air, like an invisible personal fingerprint cloud. Some metals can remember their shape. Shape memory alloys like nitinol can be twisted or crushed, but when heated they snap back to their original form like magic. Venus rotates backwards compared to most planets. On Venus, the sun rises in the west and sets in the east because it rotates in the opposite direction of Earth and most other planets. Particles can be in 2 places at once. In the famous double-slit experiment, single electrons shot through slits behave like both particles and waves, meaning an electron can exist in 2 paths at the same time until observed. You don't just observe reality, you create it by observing. How does consciousness actually work? You have thoughts, feelings, and awareness, but there's no full scientific explanation where that comes from. How does the brain create you inside your head? No one can fully explain it. Some crystals can heal themselves. Scientists have discovered self-healing crystals. When broken and pressed together under the right conditions, the crystal repairs itself as if nothing happened. In Antarctica, there's an entire mountain range buried under ice. The Gumburtsev Mountains are as big as the Alps, but totally hidden under 2 to 3 miles of solid ice. Why does placebo work so well? The placebo effect can trigger real healing just because a person believes they are being treated. Belief changes biology, but how? We don't fully understand. Quantum tunneling. Particles can teleport through walls. In quantum mechanics, particles can pass through barriers they shouldn't have the energy to overcome without breaking the wall. This is how nuclear fusion happens inside stars. There are rogue planets floating through space without stars. These planets drift alone, not orbiting any star, wandering the galaxy as cold, dark worlds. A human sneeze can travel up to 100 miles per hour, and the spray can cover up to 26 feet. Basically, a sneeze is a biological explosion. Astronauts grow taller in space. Without gravity compressing their spines, astronauts can grow up to 2 inches, 5 centimeters, taller in orbit, though they shrink back down once they return to Earth. Reality doesn't exist until you measure it. Before you observe a particle, it exists as a cloud of probabilities. Only when you measure it does it collapse into a definite state. Reality itself needs an observer. Some plants explode to spread seeds. Plants like the touch-me-not and sandbox tree use internal pressure to violently explode their seed pods, launching seeds up to 60 feet away. Quantum entanglement. Instant communication across the universe. 2 particles can become entangled, meaning their states are linked no matter how far apart they are. Change one, and the other instantly reacts even across billions of light years. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. What causes spontaneous remission in some diseases? Some cancer patients recover with no known medical reason. Their immune system suddenly reverses the disease. It's rare but completely unexplained. Quantum superposition. Schrödinger's cat is real, kind of. A quantum system can be in multiple states at once, just like Schrödinger's cat being alive and dead simultaneously until you open the box. On Earth you weigh slightly more at the poles than at the equator. Because Earth bulges slightly at the equator and gravity is stronger at the poles, you weigh a little more standing at the North Pole than you do at the equator. Octopuses can taste with their arms. Octopus suckers contain chemoreceptors, meaning they can taste and touch at the same time. Every arm is basically a tongue, plus hand combo. Space isn't totally empty. It has about 1 atom per cubic centimeter. Even deep, empty space isn't completely empty. There's a super thin fog of hydrogen atoms everywhere. Can human intuition be scientifically explained? Gut feelings and hunches are weirdly accurate sometimes, even without conscious reasoning. Is it subconscious pattern recognition or something more? Still up for debate. Black holes can erase information. The black hole. Information paradox suggests that if you throw something into a black hole, its information could be lost forever. A huge mystery in physics. Why do we dream? We know we dream, but why? Memory cleaning, emotional processing, random brain noise. No one knows exactly why dreams happen, or why they're so weird. Some animals survive by freezing solid, literally becoming ice blocks. Wood frogs, Arctic fish, and certain insects survive freezing solid and thawing out alive. They produce antifreeze proteins that prevent ice from tearing apart their cells. A particle can take every path at once. In Feynman's path integral approach, quantum particles don't choose a path. They literally try all possible paths simultaneously, and the final result is an average of all possibilities. Why are some people immune to diseases? Some people exposed to HIV, COVID, or even Ebola never get sick. Genetics? Superimmunity? Hidden antibodies? The body sometimes protects itself in ways science can't predict. There's a type of jellyfish that clones itself when injured. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii, doesn't just live forever, it can regrow itself from injury by reverting to an earlier life stage. Quantum randomness used to build unbreakable cryptography. Because quantum processes are truly random, scientists used quantum randomness to create unhackable encryption keys for ultra-secure communication. How do placebos work on surgery? In studies, sham surgeries, cutting someone open but doing nothing inside, sometimes have the same effect as real surgery. Belief seems to alter physical outcomes. But how? There's a species of lizard that has no males, only females. The New Mexico whiptail lizard reproduces through parthenogenesis. All offspring are genetically female clones of their mothers. These facts remind us that the world is far more fascinating than we often realize. Science continues to unveil incredible truths about our universe every day.